Ready Now Yuma probably can best be described as one of the pinnacles of Helios partnership. It is something that hits on probably every element of education reform that we as an organization care about.
We had a criteria, right, of the type of district that would have the capacity to take on an initiative and also be ready for it. And through those conversations, Yuma seemed to be the likely partner.
Yuma is a bit off the beaten path as far as Arizona goes. We are clear down in the corner, and so we're kind of independent and isolated, and it's made this community incredibly collaborative.
I think people coming to Yuma, when they see what's going on, they see, there's great things that are possible here that they can accomplish because of the way that the community works together.
Humans are very proud. They believe and realize that the key to economic success of our community is the schools. We have 5 comprehensive high schools between about 1,600 students and 2,600 students. We have 81% minority students, and we have between 68 and 70% of our students eligible for free and reduced lunch.
There are high schools in Yuma that are considered more inner city urban, yet they have rural high schools. They have broad demographic diversity, whether ethnic and social economic. You have the military base, you have students coming in and coming out. I mean, there are just so many factors that makes Yuma an ideal community to try to engage in this type of education reform.
Helios Education Foundation has invested in our district over $4 million over 5 years.
We're working side by side with the Yuma Union High School District leadership around this concept of ensuring that we're doing everything we can to prepare students to graduate high school, college, and career ready.
With Ready Now Yuma, we've come to grips with the fact that we need to make sure that every child in every classroom is getting a world-class education.
Regardless of where they were born, regardless of what their family situation is, every student will graduate high school, college, and career ready.
Within the initiative, there are 3 goals that we're focused on. First, to get students college and career ready. 2, to embed a high expectation college-going culture within the community, within the district. And 3rd, to increase the number of students that are actually attending post-secondary education.
In terms of Ready Now Yuma and practices in carrying it out, we rely on high expectations curriculum, exams that challenge students to be college career ready, informing students and families about their post-secondary pathways, also supporting that student in a very personalized way. And you can't do that without high quality teachers and counselors and having them be supported so that they can in turn support our students. It's our district and it's Helios Education Foundation really believing that this signature initiative will not only impact our students, but it'll just transform a community.
The roots of Ready Now Yuma started with some community partners at the Center for the Future of Arizona. They honed in on this idea of what if we could create the ideal high school environment? What if we could actually change what high schools look like?
I think the Move On When Ready initiative, and particularly as exemplified in Ready Now Yuma, is going to be very powerful because I don't think anything like that has actually really been done before.
We believe that if it works in Yuma, it can work anywhere.
We can make this work in Yuma Union High School District. And then once that's the case, then we can share this with everybody.
The Ready Now Yuma implementation plan was developed over 18 months. The #1 thing we knew from the beginning needed to be in there was a high expectations, inquiry-based, internationally benchmarked curriculum for every child. We chose the Cambridge International General Certificate of Secondary Education curriculum.
I came in January and it was traditional curriculum, traditional learning environments until about March. At which point Sheldall, he had a faculty meeting and he said, "We're doing Cambridge." And we said, "What in the world is Cambridge?"
So the focus in the Cambridge curriculum is on critical thinking, on inquiry, on problem solving, on mastery of skills, and ability to demonstrate those skills.
It introduced freshmen first, so that's the only thing they know. The exterior for sure has one line of symmetry. What about the interior? You know, middle school rules, middle school curriculum, it's out the door, welcome to high school, we're doing Cambridge, and so they didn't really question it. And so it was harder for the teachers to adapt than the students because until we spend enough time in it, working through tests, working through practice problems, really going, you know, question by question, day by day, working through it, you didn't feel a sense of ownership in it. Now that teachers have been here a couple years, teachers are really starting to see students being more positive with it. They like the change.
We had teachers say, this is my best, happiest year ever. I feel like I'm actually teaching by using Socratic methods, by asking the questions and asking the kids to step up.
What I accepted maybe 3 years ago is different than what I accept now. Don't just give me, this is what happened, here is a leader.
Identify any person who is a leader during the American Revolutionary War. Tell me why he was a leader and what is a leader. What qualities does the leader have?
George Washington was a leader. You got to explain why, what he did, what was going on.
I think everything's rolling really well, and I think most teachers are buying into Cambridge. Okay, we're gonna need 4 volunteers to read out. Okay, Sandra, you're my first paragraph. Raquel second, Sean third, Nick, you're the fourth.
I think that the Cambridge curriculum does make you think further in depth, like it makes you analyze things more.
In Cambridge classes, the teacher goes over everything and you talk with partners, you do activities.
Does yours have all these marks? Do you have that arc? Do you have that point?
It's more of a hands-on rather than an individualistic type of studying.
When you walk in a classroom, I get so excited. I walk in the classroom now, it is so different than 4 years ago. The students are engaged and they're talking to each other and they're doing peer group and they're writing something and they're deciding how they would grade this answer on a Cambridge exam or an AP exam.
I would say that the degree of difficulty has increased, the degree of rigor has increased, and the kids are resistant to it at first. Like any hard exercise you would do. You hate it for a little bit, but after a while it gets easier and easier, and once you learn that the teacher has given you the tools you need, you just have to use them.
Our school district has provided professional development, professional collaboration days where all of the Cambridge math teachers work together, which is a very unique concept. Usually it's you're on your own, figure it out, good luck, hope your kids pass the test.
It's really about learning from your colleagues and building that sense of community, because we say it takes a community, it does, it takes all of us to learn from each other.
The answer to our questions is in the room. It may take time, it may take consensus building and discussion, but the answer is always in the room.
We worked through common assessments, we made common assessments, we kind of jigsawed this syllabus, and we jigsawed it several different ways so teachers began to understand what our ultimate goal was. So the math teachers across the district, content leads, department chairs, every single person has ownership in these common assessments.
The other thing that we have is we have campus level professional learning communities, or PLCs, and those are groups of like content area that meet every Monday at a minimum.
We talk about upcoming lab supplies, we talk about upcoming lab ideas, we talk about ways we taught things. We pull up data from from our last test. We pull up the data, look at it, say, well, you tested really high, I need some help. What did you do? How did you teach this? Tell me what you did. And then I'll tell you what I did, and we'll figure out what we can do to make my teaching as good as yours.
When we get into a collaborative group, a professional learning community together, we're the facilitators. We are modeling what we hope teachers will do with their students.
We have a coaching model that now has 3 tiers. It's almost a giant triangle, if you will, where you've got your instructional coach, you've got your Ready Now coach who really helps with content, and your data tech coach who helps with that content via technology as well. So the teachers, regardless of whether they're a first-year teacher, a 10-year veteran, a 20-year veteran, have a support system in place that they've never had before.
One of the key elements of the professional learning community is that intervention piece. How do we intervene with students when they're struggling?
How do we support students after school and on the weekends and even during the school day to not let them slip through the cracks and not wait till they failed a semester to say, oops, got to go pick that up again. How do we in real time intervene and remediate their learning?
It's not a pull-out program. It's a work with the student or these students in real time and then push them to where they will then be online with their classmates.
You get a lot of support from your teachers, and you also work in groups and things like that. And a lot of our students need that help, and it's a really good way to help those of us that are less equipped.
All the data collection and analysis that we have been doing
is used. There is feedback that we're looking to provide the teaching staffs on what types of tools and methods are working most effectively. Also feedback to the student and how well they're preparing themselves to advance through the education system in their own personal development.
Some great examples include what we've done with our literacy initiatives. Students were taking exams or tests, if you will, that measure and track where they're at in terms of their literacy level or their reading level. And the kids know their scores. And they mark on a graph what their score is.
So they'll do a pre-test here in blue, and then they'll do a post-test in red, making a visual representative of how much they've grown. Seeing it, if that's the way that student learns, visualizing it, that's going to make it a lot more rewarding for them if they see the growth.
Whenever we took a writing test, we had like certain points within the A-B scale that you could get, and it had a little description of what you did and what you could have done better. I think that helps for improvement-wise. You really get to assess what you can do and what you can improve upon.
Research shows that if you put the information into the students' hands, they're going to begin to own it, and they're going to have the buy-in to continue to prove and accelerate and do better.
All right, today is yes, it is. So 9/17/13, get your notebooks out, let's get going, please.
We've begun a one-to-one initiative where all of our students have a netbook where they can access their courses, they can access the information on the internet, and any number of virtual labs, virtual activities, and essentially 24-hour communication with their teachers and fellow students.
That was the first year that we introduced netbooks and didn't issue textbooks to freshmen. That was both good and bad. But the netbooks made them special. The hard thing was we didn't really expect our teachers to necessarily teach technological skills. You know, we said, don't worry about it, the kids will figure it out. Did that happen? Not always.
Certain days worked great, and then other days the wireless was down and other things like that, so you had to come up with alternative plans. Sometimes
you walk into a class, they were working on paper and pencil, they weren't working with their netbooks. That's okay. But the trepidation of the teachers quickly went away. And they seem to love it. The thing that has worked well is to have a single focus or mission, and that's aligned. If that mission's not aligned, then you might as well not be partners. Sometimes, though, there's disagreement about how to achieve the mission or the vision or the clear bottom line. And so you have to be able to trust that both entities can say, well, these are my concerns, and be honest.
We've learned from each other. I think that's been a part of the process that we've been growing. How much to push, you know, how much to give guidance to, how much to know that, you know, let's wait to see and trust in our partner.
We're not in the classroom teaching students, or we're not a superintendent running a district, so we can't tell you how to do it. But we like to approach it with the notion of a thought partner.
Having them put a mirror up or ask good questions, they're wonderful facilitators. They come to meetings, they've helped us and asked us good questions. Having to report to someone else, not as a requirement like the government, but rather as a, well, what did we accomplish? Well, let's share this with you so that they're on the journey with us, has been very important.
We've got a marriage made in heaven. All we needed was people that believed in us, and they believed in us. And we believe in them, and now we really believe in ourselves.
Ready Now Yuma has been a great learning experience for Helios. We really had to take a look at the way we work and do some adjusting in terms of creating more of a cross-organizational team to focus the efforts in Yuma so that all of the strengths and talents that we have can be brought to bear.
This year is a pivotal year for us. There's a lot of good things that we want to do. We are focusing on the student supports. That is first and foremost. We are also looking at the upper division pathways for our students. We hope to see an improvement in the use of data. We also hope to change the infrastructure of guidance counseling and continuing with the community engagement. I think I cannot stress that importance of community engagement throughout the course of the grant. We're at a point entering year 2 where we have developed the trust. You definitely have to have the trust to have those honest conversations and to not only recognize what those challenges are and how do we address those challenges, but also to recognize the wins along the way.
We've moved at such a pace that we're ahead of certain benchmarks, and we're still trying to solve some of the other parts of the Rubik's Cube.
We had a teacher at the beginning of the year tell me, wow, this is the best group of students we've ever worked with, grades 9 through 12. And I said, the students. Excuse me. The students are the same. The adults are different. The adults are different in how we approach the curriculum, approach student supports. So I countered her with, we're doing things differently now, and we believe strongly, you can tell that I do, that every student deserves this. And it's not that our teachers didn't believe before, but we didn't have anything to structure that belief or align our practices and our beliefs. And now with Ready Now Yuma as that overarching umbrella, we have something to focus and drive what we do and what we believe.
I love that Helios is not interested in this magic bullet. They're interested in processes and really the study of the dynamic of change.
I would really like to call it an opportunity for us to be courageous in education, to give our children what they deserve.
This is why Helios Education Foundation exists. We believe education changes lives and makes communities better. And that's what we think is happening in Yuma.